Former Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich is back, along with his wife Callista. They have a brand new documentary, Rediscovering God in America to Our Heritage.
For most Americans, the blessings of God have been the basis of our liberty, prosperity, and survival as an exceptional nation.
In 1607, the first permanent English settlers acknowledged those blessings here at Cape Henry, Virginia.
People came from Europe to escape religious persecution. You had a revolt against the Church of England.
That's the revolution, religiously. That's the sense that people have of their own power. That's a proto-democracy that's profound.
Mr. Speaker, Callista, welcome. And of course, I always love to have Callista here, in particular, because she's a fellow cheesehead, I might add. I brag about it. All right, Callista, this is part 2. What's different between this one and part 1 on Rediscovering God in America?
Yes, well, Rediscovering God in America, Our Heritage, focuses on the role of religion in early America. So we look at Jamestown through the American Revolution to the very end of the Civil War in 1865. And we focus on the deep faith that motivated and sustained our country's great leaders and the belief in religious freedom in this nation.
What provoked this? Why did you do this?
Well, our original movie, Rediscovering God in America, had a great response. It's both a book and a movie. And a lot of people asked us, will you provide more information about God in America? So we have.
You know, Mr. Speaker, when I was watching this in preparation for this segment tonight, I know that you're a history professor, or you taught history. I saw this as not so much a religious piece, but almost a historic documentary.
Yeah, I think what we've both tried to do, both with the original, which is a walking tour of Washington, and with this study of our history from the colonial times up through the Civil War, it's not theological and it's not ideological. It is fact after fact after fact. But most of them are facts that Americans haven't learned. They're facts that aren't in the schools anymore. They're facts that aren't part of the textbooks. And I find people are fascinated to learn things that they never knew.
Yes, like one of the most interesting things I learned as we were doing this movie was that when the English settlers first landed at Cape Henry, before they did anything else, they erected a cross in thanks to God, and then they proceeded to Jamestown. Now, that's a fact you don't hear about often in our school system.
What's sort of funny, you even have historians in here. Doug Brinkley, who's a great historian, has written, I don't know how many books. It's all, Doug just churns out the books, but you have historians in here talking about this.
Yeah, and what we try to do is go to experts. We literally, and I'm very proud of Dave Bossie and Citizens United and of Kevin Knobloch, who's our director, because they arranged, whether it's in Boston or it's in Philadelphia or out of Mount Vernon or down in Williamsburg or Jamestown, they consistently got the best people to explain what actually happened at that point in history.
What did you learn? What surprised you?
I think I was really surprised by the depth of passion that the early colonist felt. One of the people who's a historical interpreter at Jamestown points out they went to church 14 times a week.
Without choice.
I mean, it was required. I mean, it was a totally different world than the one you and I live in. And then the other thing was, we have a very interesting section on the Quakers and William Penn, and I was born in Harrisburg, but I think there were things I learned about William Penn and making the movie that I'd never known before.
Right. So there was a great deal of religious diversity in early America, and we look at all of those groups. We look at the Puritans in Massachusetts, the Quakers in Pennsylvania, the Catholics.
Did they coexist well together, though? Because, I mean, there certainly seems to be a lot of divide in this world.
Well, you're right. And with religious liberty came the need for religious tolerance, and that's what they had to learn.
And did they learn it well? But then how did we get to where we are?
We really moved into a different period. All of the founding fathers and all of the people up through about 1963 wanted all of us to have freedom of religion. Starting with the Supreme Court ruling on school prayer in 1963, we've increasingly been into a cycle where there are continuing attacks against religion and where religion itself is under constant pressure. But historically, while they tolerated each other, for example, when they first get together in 1774 at the Continental Congress, they decide they have to have a prayer, and yet they come from all sorts of different backgrounds. And do you have a Catholic prayer? Do you have a Puritan prayer? Do you have an Anglican prayer? And they have to work out and talk through. And as one man said, I'm not so threatened that I mind having somebody pray in their own particular way.
That's
and
right.
so they literally worked out having people pray every day, a tradition we still have in the House and Senate, but which has been blocked for the last 40 years by the Supreme Court.
Callista, how do you get this movie? How are you distributing it?
Well, you can go to our movie website, which is called rediscoveringourheritage.com, or our personal website, gingrichproductions.com.
And just download. How long is this movie?
It's 60 minutes and shot in high definition.
And the next, we get a movie on the horizon?
We do have another movie on the
Do I
horizon.
get to tease or not? Or what's the movie on the horizon?
Sure. Our upcoming movie is about Pope John Paul II, entitled 9 Days That Changed the World, looking at his historic visit in June of 1979 when he went back to Poland, and how that trip was the beginning of the end of communism in Poland and Eastern Europe.
Thank you both very much, and good luck to both of you.